Hey everyone, welcome to NoBull. I hope you have been having an amazing experience thus far. My name is John Timmerman. I'm the co-founder of NoBull, along with my partners Al Kutri and Rob Schauger, and we are super grateful to have you here. We've put together a badass lineup of business builders and motivational entrepreneurs that hopefully can help you succeed in your business in 2021. So no matter where you're coming from around the globe, we have people from Canada, Mexico, US, Europe, all across Europe, India, Brazil, a lot of places. So thank you so much for attending, and I hope you can find a lot of value from this conference that you can deploy in your business. In addition to NoBull, I'm also the founder of Good Monster. We're a strategic marketing firm. And I say that because what I'm going to talk to you about today is not marketing exactly, but it is the reason that our agency has been able to succeed and thrive in 2020. And so let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So Good Monster started as a YouTube show about 8 years ago. I was bored at my marketing job at the time, and I needed a creative outlet. So my business partner at the time and I started a YouTube show. And we went around to restaurants and exciting places and just enjoyed the atmosphere, enjoyed the food, and filmed it and talked about it and interviewed the staff. You know, it was sort of like a diners, drive-ins, and dives sort of show. And that led us to starting to create content for other businesses. And that led to more website development, and that led to more SEO, and the rest is history, right? We grew as a traditional agency. We grew just like every other ad agency out there. We had full-time staff, an office. We pride ourselves on how many staff we had, because that was the example of how successful of an agency you were, is how much staff you have, because people are your resource when you have an agency. So we were doing great, and I guess it was probably about 2016 or so. We had a few large clients, some really great global clients actually. And things were going fantastic. Results were going great. Actually, we were generating some serious revenue online for them. And those two large clients that we had some other smaller ones too, but those two large clients that we had decent relationships with. The problem was two things. One of the clients, we had a good relationship with the CEO of the U.S. Franchise, basically. And she ended up leaving, and we ended up losing the business to the global agency that was handling that brand. The other client we had got purchased. And when they got purchased, the agency of the parent company or a different agency within the parent company was selected over us. So we lost two of our largest clients, which was probably about 80% of our business, in the course of about 4 months, and absolutely crushed our business. So we weren't big at the time, had probably 12 employees and maybe 20 to 25 clients, but those two massive clients really crushed us. So I had to rethink the business. I had to rethink the business model so I could start again. I could go out hunting for new clients, big clients, try to fill the void of staff. But as anybody who owns any sort of agency out there, not just marketing, you understand that in order to handle new business, you have to have more people. And in order to attract more people, you have to have a budget. And it's a vicious cycle of trying to figure out, do you go into debt to hire people to then go pitch the work? Do you pitch the work to try to get it? But then they ask you how many people you have. It's a slippery slope. So I rethought the business model. I said, okay, how can I be more efficient and still deliver a ton of value to our clients? And so I came up with the structure to go completely remote. No office. Don't care where people are from around the world as long as they're skilled at what we need. And it allowed us to be three things, which is basically we live and breathe by these three things now: efficient, effective, and remarkable. So everything we do, starting in about 2016, I would use those three principles to measure whether we were going to hire somebody, whether we were going to take on a new client and set goals that we could achieve for them. And so by finding people all over the world, we were able to find more efficient people from a pay standpoint, because there's certain cost of living around the globe that is lower than in New York or New York City or Chicago, where a lot of massive ad agencies are. So we were able to find more efficient, really high quality talent. We're talking people. My team still has worked on Oracle and IBM and massive clients. So we're finding more efficient talent. We're finding more effective strategies. So in 2016, we started to go away from just doing the work, building a website, making a social media post, filming a video. We went away from just doing that, and we went more towards the strategic side, which is taking a big step back and just thinking, what is going to be right for this company? Okay? So we started to move more strategic. And then more remarkable, we started to introduce more performance-based arrangements with our clients. So we would set goals. We would discount our prices unless we reached those goals. So 2016, the reason I'm telling you this, 2016 started that shift. What I'm going to talk to you about today is going to require a major shift, if it has not already, in your company. So I don't care what industry you're in, manufacturing, finance, healthcare, CPG, food service, transportation. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you will need this thing I'm going to tell you about today. And that thing is probably something that you've already been forced to do at least a little bit of in 2020. So there's the saying, 2020 thrust us forward about a decade. No matter what industry you're in, 2020 thrust us forward a decade in terms of adoption and technology and things that we wouldn't have normally done for at least another decade. And the thing I'm going to talk to you about today is business digital transformation. Quite simply, business digital transformation is your company using digital resources and platforms to provide more efficient, effective, and remarkable results. So without a doubt, in 2020, you've had to do a lot of different things. You've had to find out how to stay in touch with your customers. You've had to find out how to finance your payroll and operations. You've had to figure out how to continue to market and get your brand out there so that people don't think you're dead and dying. You've had to streamline processes. You've had to go through your expenses probably and figured out what can you cut, what can you streamline, what can be more cost efficient. You've had to do a lot of this already. And so what I'm going to teach you today is 4 areas of digital transformation and how you can look at them, some examples of them, so that hopefully you can get inspired and start to think of ways that you can adopt these 4 areas to improve the lifeline of your company and the future of your company. Now, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're a entrepreneur, or whether you're a $100 million company now, these 4 areas will help you to craft your plan for 2021 and the next 20 years of your business. So let's dive into it. Digital business transformation, or business digital transformation. It's got 4 areas. It has your business processes. Okay, so the things you do every day. It has your business model, so the foundation of what your company is built on. It has domain, so the market that you're playing in. And then the biggest one, which I'm actually going to start with. I was actually going to go in this order, but I'm going to switch it up because this is the most important part of it. And that is mindset. So, and I don't just mean mindset like you go watch a motivational YouTube video and get yourself in the right mind. I mean mindset like your company has to understand why these massive shifts are happening. And if you're a leader, if you're a CEO, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a executive, you're the one in charge of adopting this mindset. And so any business leader out there knows that everything flows downhill, including shit. And if you will not adopt a certain mindset of positivity to instill change, nobody else in your company is. You have to be the one that sets the precedent. So if you're going to be doing massive change in your company, which I'll talk about in just a moment, but just to give you some ideas, implementing CRMs, implementing new styles of marketing, instead of having call centers, using email and social media to engage your audiences, integrating different software all into automation, augmented reality as a way to improve customer experiences. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on of ways that would require massive change inside your company. But that massive change can get people excited if it starts with you. And if you show why it will work, it will be a much better sell to people in your company and throughout your company. If you can show them why it's going to work. Because implementing a CRM with a company that has 100,000 customers is a big, big, big fucking job. It's not easy. We're talking months, if not years, of total full implementation. But it's worth it in the long run. And if something takes a long time to really work, you have to get people excited about it up front, and you have to show them that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So mindset is the single greatest part of digital transformation. In order for anything to work, any of these massive changes to work, you have to make sure that people are excited about it. Otherwise, one of those cogs is going to fall off. Not to make your employees aren't cogs, but one of those spokes of the wheel isn't going to support the system. And the more spokes that don't support the entire wheel, the more likely that is to collapse. So let's talk about the other three aspects of it so I can back up what I'm talking about with mindset. So the first thing is business processes. So these are your everyday processes. These are the things you do every day. You walk into the office, your virtual office, and you open up your laptop or your iPad and you start your day. You use your technology, okay? So I mentioned CRM. CRM is a common, client relationship management software. And it's basically managing your entire customer base, right? What are they doing? What are they buying? What part of the process are they in the workflow and the sales funnel are they in? How much is the job worth? All of that information lives in your CRM. So one of the most basic or common business processes to be updating these days is a CRM. We're actually doing this right now for a client of ours, and it's a big job. And going back to mindset, it is something that everyone needs to understand why, even if they don't want to do it. So business processes going more digital can make the hours in the day more efficient. You can get more work output with more efficient processes. An example of this is Domino's. So Domino's completely reimagined the online ordering process. This was before the pandemic. But they started implementing their mobile app, I think before most other pizza companies did. They implemented one-click ordering. They focused on this sort of low barrier to getting a pizza. So the lower the barrier that anybody could have, no matter where they were, where they wanted their pizza, Domino's wanted to make it so that there was no barrier. So all you do is you open up their mobile app, you click, and boom, it's sent to you. So they were one of the first ones to adopt this. This changed their processes, okay? This changed the process of how they get you a pizza. Now, whether you're in manufacturing or finance or healthcare, there are these everyday processes which you should constantly be looking, is that the best we can do? Is that the most efficient, the most effective, the most remarkable? Before we move on to the next one, I'll give you an example. So internally, we are always looking at project management. It's one of the most important things of being an agency, is making sure that we are efficient with our time. It's the most beneficial to our client. It's the most beneficial to us. It's the most beneficial to the world out there that are seeing the marketing that we're putting out, right? So we want to be super efficient and making sure that we're we're very organized. Project management. So we're constantly looking at our project management software. And we have a very robust project management software now. I'll even tell you the name of it. It's called Red Booth. It's not one of the big ones, but it's a great project management software. But there's small things that could be improved on it. And so we've started looking at other project management softwares out there to see if they've solved those small things. Because if we can get seconds back in the day, if we can get minutes back in the day and turn those half-hour blocks of time spent doing something and making sure that those go into 5 minutes, that's a big win. That's a big digital transformation that helps us. So find your daily business processes, the way you do business every day. Find opportunities to take what you're doing in an hour and bring it down to a half hour or 15 minutes or 10 minutes. One word of warning. Technology can be a great thing, but it can also be a customer service or customer experience crusher. Just think about how you feel when you get an automated message when you call up your bank or somewhere where you ordered a pair of shoes. Just think about how you feel when you're trying to get an answer and you can't because all you get is recordings and AI customer service and chat bots. It can be annoying. So just make sure you're doing your homework and making sure that you're not ruining your customer experience. Let's talk about another big one. This one is big. This one's game changing. This one's industry changing. And that's business model. Creating a digital business model or transforming your business model using digital platforms and digital resources. I'm going to talk to you about very popular examples that all of you know as a way to paint the picture of how your business model could fundamentally change and shift to bring you value, because that's essentially what digital transformation related to business models is. So here's an example. We used to have bookstores. Now we have Amazon. You used to go in, shop for a book, and you still can. You can still go to a Barnes & Noble, and people like that experience. But what Amazon did is Amazon came in and sort of made those books accessible to anywhere in the country and in the world eventually. And now they're the everything store, but they started out as a bookstore. So if you wanted a hard-to-find book, they would help you find it just by searching online. Completely changed the model of being a bookstore. We used to have taxis. We still do. Not as many because now we have Ubers. Uber sort of democratized and created the ride-sharing community. Taxis had a conglomerate. They were like the mafia, right? You couldn't enter the territory as somebody driving a taxi or they would, not be happy. Uber used technology, an app, to basically give everybody who had a car the opportunity to give other people rides. So they were the technology company to pair ride owners and ride seekers. Completely changed the industry by changing the business model of what it means to be a taxi. We used to have hotels. We still do. But you know who came in and took a big share away from that? Airbnb. Hotels used to dictate, pricing, and they could charge you a lot of money to go and stay at their rooms. What did Airbnb do? They came in and they said, you know what? We want to find people with empty spaces, and we want to find people who need places to stay and offer those people a place to stay for less money. In addition, they created a much better experience because now the hosts of Airbnb could offer things like coffee or homemade breakfast or tours of the city or other great experiences along with the stay. They completely changed the business model of what it means to be a hotelier. In addition, fun little story with Airbnb, they found out this business model. They sort of figured it out by having an empty room in their own house. And they put an air mattress down, and they were like, we can rent this air mattress out to some student or somebody who needs a place to stay. That's how Airbnb started. So they literally created this industry, this market from nothing. We used to all go to movie theaters, and we're definitely not now because it's the pandemic, or hopefully the tail end of the pandemic. Then Netflix came about and offered to bring the movie theater to our home, completely created this new OTT, over the top industry, which now we're seeing everyone's, there's Paramount Plus, there's Peacock, there's Prime Video, there's Hulu, there's Disney Plus. They're all doing it, but Netflix really revolutionized this. There was pizza delivery, and there still is. But then Grubhub came along and offered delivery to all of those restaurants. I don't know if you can remember when restaurants, some restaurants didn't do delivery. Now every restaurant does delivery, unless you're like a super high-end restaurant. But that's one thing in 2020 that we were all forced to adopt and do, and all restaurants were forced to do, was use Grubhub or Seamless or these other DoorDash to deliver their food. Created a new sort of way to do business, a new business model. We used to have investment firms. Now who do we have? Robinhood. Robinhood changed the way we invest, or a lot of us invest, especially those of us that can't afford full-on brokerage firms. You can buy fractional shares on Robinhood, and whether you like it or don't like it or agree with it or not or whatever, they've changed the investment world probably forever. And lastly, we used to have realtors. Now we have Zillow. Zillow is effectively cutting out the middleman. I can go onto Zillow right now. Wouldn't suggest it because home prices are pretty high, but I can go onto a Zillow right now and I can find a house and I can do like a one-click buy if I want to. Skip the realtor altogether because Zillow is actually acting as the brokerage. So my point is, business models are created using more digital platforms and resources to make them more efficient, more effective, and more remarkable. So think about your business model like we did back in 2016. Think about the foundational way you do business, and figure out if there's a way that you can change that to make it more efficient, effective, and remarkable. Because I guarantee you there is. It might be more expensive in certain industries, but I guarantee you can find ways to serve your customer better, provide more value, and be more efficient internally to get more profit, to get more growth. So business model digital transformation is one of the greatest things your company can do to thrive into the next year or decade. And the last one I'm going to talk about is market domain. So the best example here, the biggest one, is Amazon was playing in e-commerce. They still do, obviously. Big business. Amazon was an e-commerce company. But you know what they did? They found out they had internal resources, their own cloud computing that they were doing for their own company. They figured out they could deploy that to other businesses. They could be the cloud service. They could offer cloud services, hosting services, and they could provide the platform for other businesses to build on top of, tech businesses. So I don't know the percentage, but they created AWS, which is now I believe the largest part of their business. It crushes the e-commerce part of their business in terms of revenue. Some say it's a $2 to $4 trillion business by itself. So they found out we have these resources that we can spin off and deploy as another revenue source. Just in 2020, Good Monster figured out the same thing. We figured out we have the resources and the understanding of the way consumers think and they work and they operate. We could actually teach other companies how to do it. So we were already doing this for our current clients, asking us questions about digital transformation and implementing CRMs and figuring out how to launch on Amazon and understanding logistics and all of those things that go into e-commerce sales. And we launched a consulting service, effectively a CRO, a chief revenue officer, or a CMO in certain circumstances. We launched this because we had the resources in our executive team already. We launched this as a spin-off service in order to generate a different type of revenue, a different revenue stream. And so, not that that's a digital specific transformation, but that's a transformation that sort of entered us into a new domain. Another example of a new domain is NoBull itself. We were a physical conference. We were going to have 2,000 people come to Syracuse, New York to see Gary Vaynerchuk and all the speakers. We were thrust into a virtual only event because we had to. And so now we're in a sort of new market. Now we're able to have thousands and thousands of people from all over the world watch this great conference. One more example is 37 Signals was a web design firm. Now they're known as Basecamp, one of the most widely used project management sort of softwares, especially in the tech industry. They didn't have a good way to manage their projects, and so they created one. It was so successful that other firms wanted to use it. They stopped being a web design firm, launched this into a very, very successful project management software. So market domain or domain transformation. So identify some areas within your company that you already put a lot of time and effort. Maybe you built your own software, maybe you built your own system, and see if there's an opportunity to deploy that in another industry or another business all in itself, possibly. So business digital transformation, very important for your business, no matter what industry you're in. Huge opportunities for new revenue, new customers, new clients, and the market demands what it demands. So what I'm going to leave you with is, number one, if you're a leader, you're in charge of making this happen. You're also in charge if it doesn't happen. And the market will decide. Heat just kicked on. There's a little behind the scenes from a virtual event for you. I'm sure you're used to that from all the Zoom calling we're all doing now. But I will leave you with this. The market will decide whether what your business is offering, the efficiency, the effectiveness, and the remarkability that your business is offering is good enough to beat out your competitors. So if you're not transforming your business and using more digital resources to become more streamlined, then your competitors probably will, and they might win. Thanks, everyone, for listening to my rant on digital transformation. I hope you found value and enjoy the rest of the conference.